All right, so that will pick up on that. And we're joined this morning by Mr. Akiri, who is a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
It is my pleasure always.
Already controversial as it is, because the council, Mr. Bayojo, did say that the judgment cannot be complied with in the first instance unless the appeal is over and done with. But that doesn't appear to be the case at the moment. But then the court did rule that by the combined provisions of Section 306, sub 1, 2, and 5, that it wasn't properly done. His resignation, that's the governor now, he didn't resign at the time. So all of this, we have different views. Do you agree with this judgment?
I am, with the profoundest respect, I am strongly opposed to this judgment.
Why?
You know, why? Because, there are so many issues in law. You cannot eat your cake and have it. And that's also in law. You cannot profit by your own wrong, by your own misdeed. Now, but I'm coming to that very soon. The truth of the matter is that Section 306, subsections 1, 2, and 5 are very clear on this issue. Yes, particularly Section 306, subsection 2 is saying when you resign, you must do that in your own, under your own hand, write your resignation under your own hand, and submit it to the appropriate authority. Now, the appropriate authority here is, if it's a governor resigning, you submit your letter to the Speaker of the House of Assembly. If it is the deputy governor, he submits his own resignation to the governor. And the question is, just like we've just had, the question is, as at the time Ngilari submitted his letter of resignation, he never denied he ever submitted any resignation letter. By the time he submitted his letter of resignation to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, was the governor still in office? I answered that question in the affirmative. He was there. All right. Why did he choose to submit it to the Speaker? These are the things woven around what actually happened. See, now, Ngilari knew that he was going to rely on the provisions of subsection 2 of subsections 2 and 5 of the Constitution, of Section 306. That's why he did that. First of all, you remember that two of them, both the governor and the deputy governor, were to have been impeached. You remember that they were to have been impeached. Then James Ngilari feared that he wanted to avoid the odium of impeachment, because his impeachment is impeachment as a deputy governor, and a conviction and a sentence in the court of law for a criminal offense are 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So he wanted to avoid the odium of impeachment. So he quickly wrote his letter of resignation, and then instead of submitting it to his boss, he chose to submit it to the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Why did he do that? Number one, I just told you, he wanted to avoid the odium of impeachment if he was going to be impeached. And if he was not going to be impeached, like they decided later that he was not one of those to be impeached, now he could now say that, look, I didn't resign properly. I submitted a letter to the Speaker, and that is not the position, because subsection 5 of Section 306 requires me to submit the letter to my boss, to the governor, and I did not do that. I submitted it to the Speaker, so I didn't resign.
But about why he submitted it to the Speaker.
Yes.
Some of the news behind the news was that in the first instance, it was the governor that they leveled all the allegations against. That there was barely any allegation against it, because even the deputy governor at the time, they said, look, what is the allegation they've got against me, that I refused to advise the governor over certain things? And then he also did say it was the Speaker at the time that compelled him to write that letter, and he received it immediately.
Okay, you see, the point is this. even if he did nothing, and you know, impeachment cases in Nigeria are, you know, largely political. Even if he did nothing, it could have. It's not impossible that he would have been impeached, even if he did nothing. So he feared that he might be impeached along with his boss. So he wrote that letter, and instead of submitting it to the appropriate authority, he decided to misdirect it, deliberately misdirect it. And that is the deception there. In law, we say nemo ex proprio dallo consecutor, you know, actionem. You see, no one acquires a right of action, you know, a right of action by his own wrong or deception. That is the law. And there is a long line of cases supporting that maxim. Although the maxim is hackneyed, it is still valid. It's valid any day. And that's what the court ought to have taken into action. And I'm going to say, as I'm talking to you now, I'm so convinced that on appeal, if they ever go on appeal, and they should go, yes, they should go on appeal in order to enlarge the cost of our jurisprudence. But now, if they should go on appeal, I tell you, it will not be difficult for the judge, for the appeal court of appeal, to say that that judgment was given per incuria. You cannot profit by your own wrong. He knew deliberately, and you should know that Ingilari is a lawyer. By the time he became deputy governor, he knew, or he ought to have known, that if he wanted to resign, if and whenever he wanted to resign, he should send his own letter to his boss, to the governor.
But will the speaker also claim that he doesn't know the provisions of the law concerning who the deputy governor is to submit his letter to if he was to resign?
Yes.
Or could it also be that it was his ambition that beclouded his thinking, and so he hurriedly grabbed the letter from him?
Yes.
And he fell for the trap?
Yes. You see, the point is that the speaker would have known. But if the speaker, there's nothing wrong with the speaker, even if he knew or he did not know. I mean, everybody wants to feel big. If he received that type of letter, I mean, the deputy governor, you know, sending his letter of resignation to me for consideration, and he probably knew that, oh, this one is made. Let him also go. If he goes, it means there will be 2 vacancies. The governor is not there and the deputy governor is not there, and of course, quite naturally, I will become the acting governor. He probably knew that. But now this matter concerns the deputy governor, the man who is now governor. This matter concerns him. Did he not know that he ought not to have sent his letter of resignation? I mean, after all, when he came to power, he swore the oaths of allegiance and of office. And he swore to, abide by the provisions of the Constitution and all that and all that. He knew that from the outset. So how come he did not know that he ought not to send his letter of resignation? I mean, the court ought to have probed into that. How come he did not know that he should not send his letter of resignation to the Speaker of Representatives when his boss was still there? That's the crux of the matter. But again,